This monologue was based on an interview with a woman who had a good experience with a man because he liked to look at it.
This is how I came to love my vagina. It's embarrassing because it's not politically correct. I know it should have been in the bath with salt grains from the Dead Sea, Enya playing me loving my woman self. I know the story. Vaginas are beautiful. Our hatred is only the repression and the hatred of the patriarchal culture. It isn't real. Pussies unite. I know all of it. Like, if we had grown up in a culture where having fat thighs were beautiful, we'd all be pounding down Krispy Kremes and milkshakes, spending our days lying on our backs, thigh expanding. But we didn't grow up in that culture. I hated my thighs, and I hated my vagina even more. I thought it was incredibly ugly. I was one of those women who had looked at it and from that moment on wish I hadn't. It made me sick, and I pitied anyone who had to go down there. In order to survive, I began to imagine something else between my legs. Furniture, like cozy futons with cotton comforters, little velvet settees, leopard print rugs, or pretty things, silk handkerchiefs, quilted pot holders, place settings. I grew so accustomed to this, I lost all memory of having a vagina. Whenever a man was inside me, I imagined he was in a mink-lined muffler or a Chinese bowl. Then I met Bob. Bob was the most ordinary man I had ever met. He was thin and tall and nondescript and wore khaki tan clothes. Bob did not like spicy foods or listen to Prince. He did not have any interest in sexy lingerie. In the summer, he spent time in the shade. He did not share his feelings. He did not have any problems or issues and was not even an alcoholic. He wasn't very funny or available. He wasn't mysterious. He wasn't articulate or mean or unavailable. He wasn't self-involved or charismatic. He didn't drive fast. I didn't particularly like Bob. I would have missed him altogether if he hadn't picked up my change from the deli floor. But when he handed me back my pennies and quarters and his hand touched mine, something happened. I went to bed with him. That's where the miracle occurred. Turned out that Bob loved vaginas. He was a connoisseur. He loved the way they smelled, the way they tasted, the way they felt, but most importantly, he loved the way they look. He had to look at them. The first time we had sex, he told me he had to see me. I'm right here, I said. No, you, he said. I have to see you. Turn on the light, I said, thinking he was a weirdo and freaking out in the dark. He turns on the light, turns back and faces me and says, okay, I'm ready. Ready to see you. Right here, I waved. I'm right here. Then he started to undress me. What are you doing, Bob? I have to see you. No need, just do it. He said, no, I have to look. But you've seen a red leather couch before, I told him. Bob continued. He would not stop. I wanted to throw up and die. This is getting awfully intimate, I said. Can't you just do it? No, he said, I have to look. It's who you are. I held my breath. He looked and looked. He got breathy and his face changed. He didn't look ordinary anymore. He looked like a hungry beast. You're so beautiful, he said. You're deep and elegant and innocent and wild. You saw that there? I said. It was like he read my palm. I saw that, he said, and more. Much, much more. He stayed looking for almost an hour, as if he were studying a map, observing the moon, staring into my eyes, but it was my vagina. In the light, I watched him looking at me, and he was so genuinely excited, so peaceful and euphoric. I began to get wet and turned on. I began to see myself the way he saw me. I felt beautiful and delicious, like a great painting or a waterfall. Bob wasn't afraid. He wasn't grossed out. I began to swell, began to feel proud, began to love my vagina. And Bob, well, he lost himself there. And I was with him, in my vagina. And we were gone.